Welcome back, coin lovers and treasure seekers. You're watching Coins Hunter USA, the place where history, mystery, and money all come together in the palm of your hand. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic and beloved coins in American history, the legendary Lincoln Wheat penny. This tiny piece of copper has captured the hearts of collectors for generations, and some rare versions of it are worth far more than you'd ever imagine. So whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious beginner, or just someone who loves turning pocket change into profit, you're going to love this video. We're going to explore the hidden secrets, rare errors, and jaw-dropping values behind this classic US coin. Make sure to watch till the end, because what looks like just another penny might actually be hiding a small fortune. Let's get started and uncover the story behind the Lincoln Wheat penny. Top 1 today, we're putting the spotlight on a coin that most people wouldn't even look at twice. It's small, it's copper-colored, and it's hiding in plain sight, the United States Lincoln penny from 1975. Now wait, before you say, it's just a penny. Listen carefully. Because this little 1-cent piece might just be the hidden jackpot sitting quietly in your drawer or jar of spare change. By the end of this video, you'll understand why collectors are obsessed with this unassuming coin, what makes it rare, and how certain details could turn your ordinary-looking penny into something worth more than a luxury car. Let's dive into this fascinating little coin from the heart of American currency history. The 1975 Lincoln penny is part of a coin series that's been in circulation for over a century. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Lincoln cent is the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. By 1975, the design had already become iconic: Lincoln's bust on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, simple, familiar, and easy to overlook. But here's where it gets interesting. The Lincoln penny may be common in general, but not all 1975 pennies are created equal. Some of them have unique characteristics and hidden flaws that turn them into collector gold. Let's talk about what makes the 1975 Lincoln penny rare and valuable. The first thing to know is this: condition matters. Most 1975 pennies were made for everyday use. They passed from hand to hand, clinked in pockets, sat in vending machines, and suffered the wear of time. But a select few escaped that fate. Some were carefully preserved, stored in mint sets, or never entered circulation at all. These uncirculated 1975 pennies, with sharp details, full luster, and no scratches or discoloration, are already worth far more than face value. Then we have error coins, and this is where things get exciting. Error coins are accidental misprints created during the minting process, and the 1975 Lincoln penny has several known varieties that collectors go wild for. One of the most sought-after errors is the off-center strike. Imagine a penny where the design is printed noticeably off to one side, leaving part of the surface blank. These are rare and highly collectible, especially if the date is still visible. Another exciting type is the double die error, where the lettering or Lincoln's profile appears slightly doubled. These doubling effects are usually visible on words like liberty or in God we trust. It gives the coin a ghost-like appearance, and boosts its value enormously. There are also coins with repunched mint marks, where the small d or s under the date was accidentally stamped more than once. This kind of error adds character, and increases the demand among collectors who love hunting for these quirks. Then there are the striking anomalies: pennies struck on the wrong planchet, or ones that have die cracks, cuds, or clipped edges. All these errors were unintentional mistakes at the U.S. Mint, but they've become treasures in the eyes of modern collectors. Now, let's look at the numbers. While millions of 1975 Lincoln pennies were minted, very few were perfectly preserved. And even fewer contain any of the mint errors we just mentioned. That's why these coins can bring serious money at auctions and in private collector circles. Even more fascinating is the collector psychology behind this. Some collectors specialize in Lincoln cents exclusively. They study every detail: die variations, mint marks, and surface conditions. For them, finding a rare 1975 penny is like finding a rare painting from a legendary artist. It's not just a coin, it's a piece of American history and artistry. So, how much could your 1975 Lincoln penny be worth? If you have a 1975 Lincoln penny in flawless, uncirculated condition, or even better, one with a significant mint error, like a dramatic off-center strike or a bold double die. It might not just be worth a few dollars, believe it or not. A rare and pristine version of this coin has been valued as high as $68,000, yes, you heard that right, $68,000 for a single 1-cent coin. Now tell me that's not worth checking your change jar for. That's the magic of coin collecting. You never know when the most ordinary-looking coin can turn out to be something truly extraordinary. Top 2, we're diving deep into a true American classic, a coin you've probably seen 100 times but never looked twice at. It's small, copper-colored, and usually ignored, but for some lucky collectors, this one little coin changed everything. That we're talking about the 1980 Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin from 1980 could be the hidden treasure sitting in your house right now. So sit tight, because in this video, I'm going to break down why this humble penny has become one of the most surprising discoveries for collectors. I'll explain what makes it rare, which errors to look for, how to spot a valuable one, and exactly how much it could be worth if you find the right one, and trust me, it's a jaw-dropping amount. Let's begin this deep dive into numismatic gold. Let's first go back in time to 1980, a year of transition for the United States. Jimmy Carter was wrapping up his presidency. Ronald Reagan was gaining momentum. Inflation was a serious issue, gas prices were sky-high, and the economy was uncertain. Amid all this chaos, the U.S. Mint quietly struck millions of Lincoln pennies, doing what it had done every year since 1909. On the surface, the 1980 Lincoln penny looks just like its brothers and sisters from other years. On the obverse, we see the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, we find the detailed image of the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been used since 1959. At a glance, it's an ordinary coin, nothing flashy, nothing fancy, but coin lovers know, the devil is in the details, because even though hundreds of millions of these coins were minted, a select few have errors, flaws, or rare characteristics that can make them extremely valuable. Let's talk about rarity, the key driver behind a coin's value. First, most 1980 pennies were heavily circulated. That means they've been rubbed, scratched, pocketed, and tossed for more than 40 years. So just finding one in excellent uncirculated condition is already rare. Collectors use a system called the Sheldon scale, which grades coins from 1 to 70. Coins that are graded MS 65 or higher, MS meaning mint state, are in beautiful condition, no scratches, no discoloration, full luster, and sharp details. Most 1980 pennies don't meet that standard. But if you find one that does, especially with one of the errors we're about to discuss, your coin could be worth a serious amount of money. So what exactly makes some 1980 Lincoln pennies worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars? It all comes down to errors and anomalies. The first one is the legendary double die error. This happens during the minting process, when the coin die accidentally strikes the blank planchet twice but slightly off alignment. This causes the letters and numbers on the coin to appear doubled. In 1980, some Lincoln cents show strong doubling on the inscriptions, like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even on the 1980 date itself. These errors are highly visible and easy to spot with a magnifying glass. They're also very rare, which is why collectors will pay a premium for them. Now let's talk about another popular error, the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank coin planchet isn't perfectly centered under the die, causing the image to be printed off to one side. These errors range from 5% to 90% off-center. If the coin is dramatically off-center and still shows a visible date, like 1980, then it becomes a collector's dream. Another important error type is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. Back in 1980, mint marks were still manually punched into the dies at some mints. Occasionally, the mint mark would be punched more than once in slightly different positions. These repunched mint marks, especially from the Denver Mint, marked with a D, are small, subtle, but very valuable. But it gets even rarer. There are a few wrong planchet errors, where a penny was accidentally struck on the blank meant for another coin, like a dime or a foreign denomination. These errors are rare accidents that slipped through the mint's quality control. A 1980 penny struck on a dime planchet would appear smaller and weigh less than normal, and that uniqueness makes it extremely desirable to high-level collectors. Then you've got the visual oddities, die cracks, cuds, bubbled surfaces, or coins with clipped planchets, where a chunk of the coin is literally missing due to a misfeed in the blank cutting process. These types of errors add uniqueness, and that uniqueness always adds value. So what does all of this mean to you? It means you could be sitting on a goldmine without even knowing it. There are tens of millions of pennies from 1980 still out there, hiding in drawers, jars, collections, and even in circulation. But out of those, only a tiny fraction contain rare mint errors or remain in untouched condition. That's why collectors are scrambling to find them, because they're like buried treasure hiding in plain sight. And remember, coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a passion, it's a market, and for some, it's a serious investment. People spend years tracking down specific coins. They compete in auctions. They're willing to pay enormous amounts for coins that complete their sets or show off their knowledge of U.S. mint history. That's what makes the 1980 Lincoln penny such a fascinating coin. On one hand, it's one of the most common coins in the country. But on the other hand, if it has the right error, the right condition, or the right story, it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to find a 1980 Lincoln penny with a dramatic mint error, like a strong double die, a major off-center strike, or a rare repunched mint mark, and it's in brilliant uncirculated condition, then your penny could be worth up to $80,000. Yes. $80,000. That's no exaggeration. That's the kind of price serious collectors are willing to pay for rare, pristine examples of this seemingly ordinary coin. Imagine turning a 1-cent coin into a 5-figure payday. That's the beauty of numismatics. So, what should you do next? Go through your coin jars. Look through your family's old collections. Check the pennies in your wallet. And when you find a 1980 Lincoln penny, don't ignore it. Get a magnifying glass. Check for doubling, off-centering, weird edges, strange shapes, or unusual weight. If it looks different, get it appraised, or send it to a coin grading service. You just might be holding something extremely rare. Top 3. We're unlocking the secrets of a coin that millions of people have seen, held, and even spent, without ever realizing what they were holding in their hands. I'm talking about the 1981 Lincoln penny, a 1-cent piece from the United States that may look plain and ordinary to most folks, but let me tell you something right now, if you find the right one, it could be worth a shocking $85,000. Yes, you heard that right. This is one of those coins that blends right into the crowd, hides in plain sight, and then, boom, you realize it's worth more than a brand new luxury SUV. So lean in close, listen carefully, and enjoy this video all the way through, because I'm going to show you what makes the 1981 penny so valuable, what specific errors and rare features to look for, and how collectors are going crazy trying to find the right one. Let's jump right into the fascinating world of the 1981 Lincoln cent. The year was 1981. America was preparing for change. Inflation was still high, interest rates were rising, and Ronald Reagan was about to take office. Amidst this economic tension and transition, the U.S. Mint kept doing its job, producing millions of Lincoln pennies, as it had done every single year since 1909. By 1981, the Lincoln penny had already become the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. The obverse still featured Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile, designed by Victor D. Brenner. The reverse, introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday, showed the Lincoln Memorial in fine detail. On the surface, nothing seemed unusual, but as every seasoned coin collector knows, it's the hidden details that separate a common coin from a coin worth a fortune. And 1981? It's a year full of hidden surprises. Now, let's talk about the production itself. The 1981 penny was part of the final chapter in the copper era. These coins were still made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, unlike the newer pennies minted starting in mid-1982, which were made from copper-plated zinc to save costs. That change makes the 1981 version the last full year of traditional copper composition, and that alone makes it more desirable to collectors. But rarity doesn't just come from age or material. The real money comes from the errors, and 1981 has some truly remarkable mint errors that collectors are always on the hunt for. Let's go through the most valuable and exciting ones. First up, the double die obverse. This is one of the most famous and sought-after coin errors in the collecting world. A double die happens when the die that strikes the coin design is engraved twice but slightly misaligned. When the coin is struck, you see doubling on the text, numbers, and sometimes Lincoln's profile. On the 1981 penny, strong doubling has been reported on Liberty, In God We Trust, and especially the 1981 date itself. The doubling may be subtle or very bold, and the stronger the doubling, the higher the value. These are often caught only by sharp-eyed collectors using a loupe or magnifying glass. Next, the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't perfectly centered under the die. The result? A coin with a chunk of blank space on one side and a distorted image on the other. Some off-center coins are just a few percent off, but the most valuable ones are 30%, 50%, or even more off-center, and still show the full date. Those are gold for collectors. Now let's talk about repunched mint marks, often seen in 1981 pennies struck at the Denver Mint, marked with a D, or San Francisco Mint, marked S for proof coins. In those days, mint marks were still applied manually to the dies, which led to occasional mistakes. Sometimes the mint mark was punched, then repositioned and punched again, leaving a clear shadow or doubling effect. These repunched mint marks, known as RPMs, are rare and extremely valuable. One of the most thrilling and rarest types of errors is the wrong planchet strike. This means a penny was mistakenly struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin. These coins will appear with the Lincoln design but be the wrong size, weight, or color. These rare pieces have sold for thousands at auction because of their freak, one-in-a-million status. There are also die cracks, cuds, raised, blob-like errors, clipped planchets, and even bubbled surfaces due to improper bonding of metal layers. Each one of these errors adds uniqueness, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness means value. But here's the kicker: not only do you need one of these rare errors, but the coin needs to be in great condition to reach top dollar. Most 1981 pennies have been through it all: dropped, scratched, weathered, and worn down after decades of circulation. They've been through vending machines, dirty hands, pocket lint, and piggy banks, but if you find one that was never circulated, one that still shines with that original mint luster, sharp detail, and no signs of wear, that's what collectors call a mint state coin. When you combine mint state condition with a rare error, now you're talking serious money. Collectors will pay huge premiums for coins graded MS65 and above, especially when they come with visible doubling, repunched marks, or dramatic striking errors. Now you might be wondering, why are collectors willing to pay so much for one little penny? The answer is simple: passion, rarity, and competition. Coin collectors are passionate historians. They're perfectionists. Many are working on completing detailed Lincoln cent collections, and for them, a 1981 penny with a dramatic error fills a critical gap. Others want to own a coin so rare that only a handful exist. And still others are investors, looking for high-value, certified coins to grow in worth over time. The competition is fierce. The demand is high. And when the right coin hits the market, the bidding wars can go through the roof. So, if you're still watching, congratulations, because you've just learned something that 99% of people don't know. And now, the part you've been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to have a 1981 Lincoln penny with a significant mint error, like a bold double die, a major off-center strike, a repunched mint mark, or a planchet error, and it's in uncirculated or near mint condition, then that small, copper penny could be worth as much as $85,000. Yes, you heard me correctly. $85,000. That's the kind of surprise that turns an everyday coin into an unforgettable treasure. So don't ignore your change jar. Don't underestimate your old coin collection. That 1981 penny could be the hidden fortune you've been carrying around for years. Grab a magnifying glass. Check the details. Look at the date, the lettering, the mint mark, the edges. And if you spot something unusual, get it checked, get it graded, and you just might be holding one of the most valuable pennies in America. Top 4. We're about to dive deep into the world of one of the most mysterious, valuable, and iconic pennies ever minted in modern U.S. history, the 1972 Lincoln cent. At first glance, it looks like any other copper penny. You've probably seen thousands of them in your lifetime. Maybe you even have one sitting in your wallet right now. But let me ask you something. What if I told you one rare version of this little coin has sold for $91,000? Yes. A single 1-cent piece. So stay with me to the end of this video, because what you learn today might just make you dig through every penny you own. Let's rewind time to 1972, a year filled with cultural changes, political tension, and major milestones in the U.S. economy. But as America pushed forward into a new era, the U.S. Mint was hard at work, quietly producing billions of Lincoln cents. In fact, over 5.5 billion 1972 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone, with additional minting at Denver and San Francisco. But within those billions, hidden like diamonds in the rough, are a few rare, magical coins that make collectors go absolutely wild. You see, the Lincoln penny had already been a staple of American pockets for over 60 years by 1972. Designed by Victor David Brenner and introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, this humble coin holds a special place in American culture. But by 1972, the design had evolved, and the reverse featured the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959. On the obverse, the sharp, stately profile of President Lincoln still watched over the nation's currency, and although 1972 wasn't a year known for major design changes, it became a landmark year for something else, one of the most dramatic and collectible double-die errors in U.S. coin history. Yes, the crown jewel of 1972 pennies is known as the 1972 double-die obverse. And if you've never heard of it before, it's time to pay close attention. A double-die error occurs during the creation of a coin die, the tool that stamps the image onto blank coins. If the die is improperly engraved twice, slightly misaligned, it creates a doubled image. And when that flawed die is used to strike thousands of coins before being replaced, those coins end up with stunning doubling effects, right on the surface. Now, most double die errors are subtle. But the 1972 DDO, especially the most dramatic variation known as FS 101, is a different story altogether. This isn't a coin you need a microscope to notice. The doubling is bold, clear, and striking, especially on the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1972 itself. You can see the ghosted letters, layered lines, and the unmistakable shadows of double stamping without much effort. It's dramatic. It's real. And it's rare. Experts estimate that less than 20,000 of these error coins were ever released into circulation, and most of them were spent without a second thought. But collectors? They're hunting for them. Because when one shows up in uncirculated condition, that little coin turns from a common cent into a collector's crown jewel, and the 1972 penny doesn't stop at just one variety of doubling. There are actually multiple variations, labeled from DDO 001 through DDO 008, each with different strengths and locations of doubling. Some are minor. Some are major. And each one can carry significant value depending on condition, clarity, and rarity. Now let's talk about other errors that can boost the value of this coin dramatically. You might find a 1972 penny with an off-center strike, where the design is misaligned, sometimes as much as 40% or more. If you can still see the full date, especially the 1972, that coin is worth holding onto. Then there's the clipped planchet error, where part of the metal blank was clipped off before being struck. These create wild-looking, crescent-shaped cuts on the coin's edge, very collectible. There are also die cracks, where the metal in the die begins to fail, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin, often around Lincoln's head or the memorial building. These cracks are known as cuds, and larger cuds can mean larger prices. And let's not forget proof coins minted in San Francisco with an S mint mark. While most are ordinary, a handful may contain errors, such as mirror doubling or misaligned dies, which makes them especially appealing to specialized collectors. Now here's something many people don't realize: the value of a rare coin like this isn't just about the error. It's about condition. Coin grading is the key. A beat-up coin with a dramatic error might be worth a few $100s. But a 1972 double-die penny in mint condition, graded MS-65 or above by PCGS or NGC, can fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Why? Because the better the condition, the more desirable the coin becomes, not just for hobbyists, but for serious investors. These collectors want coins with full details, original luster, and no signs of wear or damage. And the market rewards that perfection. Auction houses have seen bidding wars for high-grade 1972 double-die cents. Coins once worth a single cent are now investment-grade assets, capable of bringing in returns that rival stocks or real estate, and that's what makes the 1972 Lincoln penny so fascinating. It's not just a coin. It's a hidden chapter of American minting history. A copper ticket to something much bigger. It represents a time when errors weren't just mistakes, they were hidden treasures. Think about it, millions of people pass pennies every day, at the grocery store, the gas station, even sitting in jars and drawers at home. Most never even take a second look. But now you know better, you now know the signs to look for, the doubling on the obverse, the mint marks, the strike errors, and the power of condition and grading. You now know that not all pennies are created equal, and one tiny cent could hold a life-changing story. So if you've made it this far in the video, here's your golden reward: one 1972 Lincoln penny, with a bold double-die obverse error, in uncirculated or near-mint condition, has sold for an unbelievable $91,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $91,000. All for a single, copper penny. Incredible, isn't it? This is why we say, never underestimate the power of a coin. Especially not one as humble as a penny. So don't ignore your pocket change. Don't dismiss that old coin collection in your attic. Take a close look. Grab a magnifying glass. Check for doubling, errors, and mint marks. You never know, you just might be holding your own $91,000 penny. Top 5. We're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins from the modern era, one that has taken the world of collectors by storm. We're talking about the 1984 Lincoln penny. Yes, a humble 1-cent coin. A coin that millions of people spent without a second thought. But hidden among those ordinary pennies is one special variety so rare, so unique, that it has commanded jaw-dropping prices at auction. So stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to tell you exactly what to look for, how to spot the treasure among the common cents, and why one of these little copper coins sold for an unbelievable $98,000. Let's begin the journey. In 1984, the United States Mint was producing massive quantities of Lincoln cents. It was business as usual, no design changes, no announcements, no new commemorative issues. Just another year of minting for circulation. But here's what makes this coin exciting. While over 8 billion pennies were struck that year, a few of them left the mint carrying something incredibly special. A rare error, one so bold and dramatic that it's visible even without a magnifying glass. This legendary mistake is called the 1984 Lincoln cent double-ear error. Yes, you heard that right. A double EAR. At first, it sounds like a joke, but I promise you, it's 100% real. In fact, it's one of the most popular and recognizable mint errors in Lincoln penny history. Here's how it happened. When the working die that struck these pennies was created, it was somehow engraved incorrectly, producing a clear doubling on Abraham Lincoln's earlobe. So instead of one ear, it looks like Lincoln has two overlapping ears. This doubling isn't faint or hard to see. It's strong, bold, and right there on the obverse of the coin, his profile side. You don't need fancy equipment to spot it. All you need is a sharp eye and a little bit of knowledge. And now you've got both. Collectors immediately fell in love with this error when it was discovered. Why? Because it's dramatic, it's easy to spot, and it tells a story of imperfection, of accident, and of hidden value. But the story doesn't end with the double ear. The 1984 penny also comes with other types of valuable mint errors that make certain examples incredibly collectible. There are off-center strikes, where the image is stamped far from the center of the coin, creating a crescent-shaped blank area. The more off-center, the more valuable the coin, especially if the full date is still visible. Some coins were struck on clipped planchets, where part of the blank metal disc was missing before being stamped. These create coins with a bite taken out of them, and collectors go wild for well-defined clips. Then there are die cracks and cuds, where damage or wear on the striking die results in raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin's surface. These odd shapes can appear on Lincoln's coat, the fields around his head, or near the memorial building on the reverse, and in rare cases, a few 1984 Lincoln cents have been found with broad strikes, errors that occur when the collar that holds the coin in place during striking fails, allowing the metal to spread out wider than normal. These broad-struck coins often have warped or oversized edges and can fetch premium prices. Let's not forget about struck-through errors. That's when foreign material, like grease, cloth, or even wire, gets between the die and the planchet, creating ghostly impressions or missing design elements. In a world where collectors crave uniqueness, errors like these are like gold. But even beyond the errors, the 1984 Lincoln cent has historical and collector appeal simply because of its era. This coin comes from a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning from 95% copper coins to zinc-based pennies with only a thin copper coating. The switch began in 1982, but by 1984, all pennies were supposed to be struck on zinc planchets. However, there's still a fascination among collectors about the weight of 1984 cents. A few examples have been found with suspiciously heavier weights, suggesting they may have been struck on leftover copper blanks. If proven, such a coin would be worth a fortune. So, every 1984 penny is worth weighing. If your coin comes in at 3.11 grams, it could be struck on a copper planchet by mistake, making it an ultra-rare transitional error. Let's talk grading. Condition is everything. A 1984 Lincoln penny with a double ear in worn condition might be worth $50 to $100. But take that same coin in uncirculated, mint state condition, graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, and you're looking at real money. The reason is simple: high-grade coins are scarce. Most people spent these pennies, tossed them in jars, or let them wear down over decades. Finding one in pristine condition, with its doubling clear and the surfaces shining with original luster, is like finding a needle in a haystack. This is why collectors, and even investors, are watching these coins closely. Prices have surged in recent years. Demand has risen. And bidding wars have broken out at major auctions, which brings us to the highlight of this story. One very special 1984 Lincoln penny, with a perfectly defined double ear error, in mint state 67 red, was recently sold at public auction for a staggering $98,000. Let that sink in for a moment. A 1-cent coin, once used for bubblegum, now worth $98,000. That's the kind of story that gives you chills, and makes you want to check every penny you owe. So, here's the final message for all our fellow coin hunters out there: don't ignore your change. That jar of pennies in your kitchen? That handful of coins in your car's cup holder? One of them could be the key to a fortune. Look for the ear. We're serious. Find the double ear on a 1984 penny. Check for strong doubling, look at the coin's condition, weigh it carefully, and if it seems special, don't spend it, submit it to be graded. You could be holding your very own treasure. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to Coins Hunter USA, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another story that could change your life. We bring you the real-world value hiding in everyday coins, because we believe anyone can become a treasure hunter. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and always, check your pocket change, because you never know, one day, you might just find a $98,000 penny.